What's up, guys? It's your host, Hảo here, the CEO of Vietcetera, here for another episode of Vietnam Innovators. Thank you for joining the kickoff of our second season. We're probably about a few episodes in now by the time you watch this, and we've got a whole great roster of episodes and guests coming up over the next few weeks, so please tune in. Again, every Tuesday, so don't miss out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube, and wherever else you consume our content. Thank you for joining us. And before we introduce our guest here today, we'd just like to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, our very dear sponsors, ELSA, which stands for English Language Speech Assistant. It's a tech app that you can download on the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. It helps you and your family members, your friends learn English and improve your pronunciation. ELSA, check it out. It's a great app. And for those of you listening from Vietnam and wanting to improve your English, it's one of the best apps we can recommend. ELSA, check it out. Going back to today's show, our guest here today, her name is Emmanuelle Gounot. She hails from France, her home country, but of course she's here in Vietnam, and she is very excited today to share more about what her company is doing, Intrepid, where she's the CEO of the team, the company based here in Ho Chi Minh City. Emma, thank you for joining the show. Thank you for your time. Intrepid, I know a little bit about it. You know much more. Why don't you introduce what your role exactly is at Intrepid, and then we can go kind of into the nuts and bolts of today's show.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me today. I'm really, really honored to be here. Also want to congratulate you for the good news we heard yesterday about Vietcetera's fundraising. It's really exciting.
Thank you.
And so Intrepid, I would say, is your one-stop shop, one-stop partner as a brand, where we are here to help you with everything digital as a brand. And we're powered by technology and focused on three main areas. The first one is going to be omni-channel store management. So primarily still working on the marketplace platforms. So in Vietnam, that's largely Lazada, Tiki, and Shopee. But also venturing into social commerce, as well as supporting brand.com. So that this is the first pillar of the business. The second one is going to be a fully integrated digital marketing agency that can support you along along the entire funnel for marketing, from awareness, consideration, conversion, but also retention. And the last one will be data and insight, where we have a lot of reporting tools available for brands. But we are also really excited to soon bring to market a new data and insight product focused on market insight and competitive insight. So a lot of things that are hard to get from platforms themselves, and we hope that can help brands to make more informed decisions and take action. All of this is powered by technology. We were founded in Vietnam in 2017, headquartered now of Singapore, and present across Southeast Asia.
Amazing. Intrepid's been in business for a while, and the e-commerce industry has evolved tremendously over those years, and I'm sure your team has had to adapt and continue to innovate. The best way to kind of capture the imagination of what you guys do exactly, maybe you can walk through an example customer. Are they small businesses, medium businesses, enterprise businesses? Maybe it's all three. Maybe you can highlight a couple of those clients, with or without naming names, of course, about how they use Intrepid products.
Sure. So it's actually very interesting that you asked this question, because as we got started, we have a lot of solutions that we're offering primarily to sellers. And over the past couple of years, we realized that really where there was appetite and where we could be a consulting and executing partner was with global brands. So our clients now are entirely global brands. And we're fully diversified across categories. So we have consumers hailing from electronics and home appliances categories, FMCG, big emphasis on health and beauty there, as well as fashion. And some of them will be very brands that we're partnering with directly, working with their e-commerce teams. Some others will be instances where we're partnering with the exclusive distributor of a brand in Vietnam and powering their online activities. Today, in terms of Naming a couple of our customers, we work with, for instance, Phễu, which started from nothing online a year ago and is now a top 20 brand on Lazada, for instance. We work in the FMCG category with Colgate, where we've had tremendous success as well, powering very complex campaign mechanics, creating a lot of excitement around campaigns and supporting them on all aspects of logistics and marketing. We work with a big fashion and sports retailer, Super Sports, where we're supporting them across a number of brands on their campaign, merchandising, commercial strategy, as well as the holistic marketing approach for platforms. So these are examples of some of the brands that we work with, and happy to share a bit more about what we can do to support them and others.
So it sounds like Intrepid is a partner for digital transformation for these brands, because some of them are newer, some of them are, very legacy, not centuries, but timeless brands that, have done very well over the years and continue to, but they need that digital transformation partner. So when it comes to e-commerce, do you find that these clients kind of see it as like this enigma? There's just like so many options to consider, and you guys are that partner to figure out what solutions are best. It seems like you're pretty embedded with their teams too. Maybe you can walk through the process of how you would work with one of these clients, like in terms of implementation and then like rolling out the solution in terms of selling their products. Like, what are some success stories? Like how have these solutions transformed their kind of businesses?
Well, I think the beauty of it is that the partnership can take many different forms depending on where a brand client is in their digital transformation and the capabilities of their team. Quite frankly, let's bring this to life with two different examples. So, for instance, earlier in August, we launched a partnership with a new brand for us. They're a leader in their category offline, but they're totally new to e-commerce. So they work with a B2B distributor for offline. They have resellers that sell their products on the platforms, but they've never gone direct to consumer. And so here, we first started to talk to them about what platforms they wanted to prioritize, what their timeline was, the importance of getting started well ahead of the mega season, and so on. Then we started talking about what their shop-in-shop would look like. So, for instance, designing a unique look and feel that would convey their brand identity with unique banners and navigation that would suit their category well. Then we created the assortment. And there, big emphasis on content, ensuring that we're leveraging all the platform tools, that we have rich content, including videos, including the maximum number of pictures, but also ensuring the content is highly searchable. So really optimizing for SEO. And after that, it's really been about creating a differentiated platform strategy for the two platforms that they've chosen to go with, and seeing how that would align with their offline merchandising calendar, and just really working on that drumbeat of campaigns. And the day-to-day management obviously includes strategizing and executing on those promotional mechanics, managing stock, maintaining the design of the store, updating it over time, as well as taking care of everything customer service related. So I would say that's the basics, and that's how we get started. On the flip side, if I take another example, we've been working with Panasonic for 2+ years now. Over the past year, they have grown their online business on the platforms fivefold, and we're very proud to have supported them on that journey. But they do have an e-commerce team that's very knowledgeable about the space, and what we bring them there is obviously support on the strategy and the execution, but also the structure and the rigor to take things further. So, for instance, they have joint business plans with the platform, and we've supported them to exceed those plans, quite frankly. and to see how they could bring new assortment that's been quite successful offline to their online stores. We've been advocating for them with the platforms, ensuring that they have the ear of the platforms and get as much visibility as possible. We've really been delivering in a very unique way on a very close marriage between the commercial strategy and the marketing strategy. And from anything related to on-platform, off-platform, additional branding and community opportunities. So those are really things that we've been working on. And there has been a big emphasis on learning together and iterating together. Rather, I would say, different stage of maturity versus the first client that I mentioned. And once again, we continue to see what our client needs and how far we can take it. Our store management model is inherently modular. So at its core, we work on commercial and merchandising strategy and execution, creative design, content, customer service. But then we can layer on top marketing services and fulfillment services, depending on the needs of our brand clients.
Yeah, and Intrepid operates across many different Southeast Asian countries. This one-stop shop model requires a lot of scale and expertise. How has it been building a team needed to bring all that expertise to the forefront? That must be very challenging. I mean, the Intrepid team has been able to do it, obviously, but what attracts people to work in this particular industry, and what is the company culture kind of defined around to bring all these very diverse backgrounds? And we're having a hard time hiring a lot of these expertise kind of areas. And as you know, e-commerce is so new in not only Vietnam, but Southeast Asia. So there's not too many people that have that background. What do you say to that about team building for this particular area of expertise?
Well, the Intrepid, we're all about people. And since joining the company, a big area of focus for me has been to recruit for the team to continue to strengthen our bench on the Vietnam organization. Quickly realized that I needed a bit more management support to be able to take the company to the next level, support our newly onboarded brands, as well as continue to go above and beyond in a scalable way with our existing clients. And so I've spent a lot of time thinking about what brings people to Intrepid, especially in a market where there can be quite a war for talent in this space. And I think that what brings people to Intrepid is going to be several folds. First of all, it's really about the opportunity to become an e-commerce expert. It's very hard to get a similar experience working for a platform or within the e-commerce team of one of our brands. Here, people have the opportunity to work across platforms, across categories, and to see a lot of different things, and sometimes even have exposure to how things are going across the region, working with some of their regional peers in Southeast Asia. So huge opportunity to grow as experts, be aware of the newest tools, and become true experts. Of course, also learning from the best. I think we have a lot of very senior leaders who help to really develop the industry itself as part of our regional management team. So, for instance, if I look at the marketing function more precisely, our president, Charles de Bonneuil, was one of the co-founders of Lasda Group and CMO of Lasda Group until 2018. And he brought with him to Intrepid a number of people who had built the marketing tech at Lazada. So here, unique opportunity to learn from some of the best experts in the industry. And of course, the same applies in some other functional areas. So opportunity to learn, based on the nature of the work, based on the experts we have on the team, but also opportunity to be part of a winning team, right? We just raised our Series B in June. We're extremely proud of it. And we've seen tremendous growth. And for many people, there is such an adrenaline rush being part of such a fast-growing company and being able to have an impact and leave their mark on the organization. So definitely a very attractive opportunity to many. And last but not least, I think it really comes down to the people and to our culture. I'm personally very proud of the culture we're building at Intrepid. Our values are very important to us, and we put a lot of emphasis on service, ensuring that we go above and beyond to satisfy our clients. A lot of emphasis on innovation to ensure that we continue to come up with new solutions to all the new problems that may come up as the industry matures day after day. We really love what we do, so it's a very passionate bunch of people. We are dedicated to delivering measurable impact, and we do so as a team. And one of the other things that's deeply rooted in our culture is going to be kindness. And so I think for a lot of people, it's the opportunity to join a group of peers that they might get along very well with. So that's what I tell people when they're looking at Intrepid. And we've had a lot of success recently growing our team in Vietnam, as well as growing our tech team also with us in Vietnam. We've also been investing recently quite a bit in continuing to build our expertise at the regional level so that all our local teams are supported by functional experts. So we've done so on marketing, we've done so on retailer operations, business development, and a number of other functions. And every time it's about ensuring that we bring best-in-class talent from the industry, but also sometimes from adjacent industries to ensure we remain at the cutting edge of what's out there.
ELSA Speak is the world's smartest English pronunciation coach powered by AI. The app can listen and pinpoint the exact errors in every single sound, intonation, rhythm, and pitch as you speak, compared to a native speaker, and give instant feedback on how to improve. All these feedbacks are fully automated using ELSA's proprietary speech recognition technology. With this virtual everyday English personal trainer, you'll be able to speak with ease and confidence. Learn how to speak like our innovators by downloading and clicking the link in the description below.
Do you guys see yourselves as more of a tech company with a strong team of experts and consultants, or a consultancy that's powered by technology? I think that's a key difference. Like for us, we're a media company, Vietcetera, powered by tech. We'll have a mobile application. We invest in our own content management system. But at the end of the day, we very much focus on original content, and everything else kind of powers that. What do you say to that, to kind of when you are building a team, they're asking about the structure, and also clients, how they see you guys as a tech company, consultancy, maybe both? I'm very curious to how that's communicated.
So that's a great question. I think that many people, so our clients and our team, often see the output of what we do, right? Which is going to be helping and advising our clients on a daily basis. And so I think that's how maybe we are seen. But our leading advantage compared to others in this industry has been our willingness and appetite to invest very aggressively in tech. And so in that sense, we're fully powered by tech. We don't believe in necessarily, without tech, things don't scale. We don't believe in having manual shortcuts for everything. We want to build a business that's here to stay and constantly innovating through technology. So we just had a case. Actually, we had a few instances over the past couple of weeks where we see things that are not optimized or requiring a lot of manual work, where we see an opportunity for a client to be able to really take something to the next level if there was a way to just fix it and make it happen. And so that's something that we're then taking to our tech team and that we'll be able to roll out soon to just better support our brands. So without that dialogue and this integration between the two, I think it'd be very hard to be where we are. So it's inherently a part of who we are. In Vietnam, more specifically, this is where a regional tech team sits. So we're very lucky to be co-located and have their support. And I think this has created a very unique partnership and collaboration on a daily basis.
Amazing. Emma, I want to backtrack a little bit and learn more about yourself as well, other than just what you're focused on at Intrepid. I understand you worked at Uber, is that correct, in Malaysia, or was it France? I'm getting the names confused now. Uber, Lazada, Malaysia, France. Maybe you can backtrack and just share more about your background and what led you to Vietnam of all places. Was it a place that was always on your radar? Was it brought to you on your radar? How did that all work out?
Sure. So I guess just about myself. So I'm French born, grew up in France, relocated to the United States as I was finishing high school. And so educated in the United States. First work as a consultant after business school. Really enjoyed that opportunity, but wanted to get more operational. Ended up moving back home to Paris, where I first built the French arm of a German startup for Rocket Internet, focused on flash sales for home and decor. I realized I had a lot to learn, so went to Amazon, where I helped to relaunch the sports category. It was a really, really fun adventure to have the resources of a big company, but really the energy and the nimbleness of a new category. Then life took me to Malaysia, family reasons. So we relocated to Kuala Lumpur. And then after Amazon, it only made sense to go to Lazada beginning of 2015. And there I helped to build the electronic categories. I was lucky to witness the investment from Alibaba, go to Hangzhou and be part of the team that helped with some of the post-merger integration projects and roll out of best practices. So really, really amazing experience. And that's when I really discovered Southeast Asia and fell in love with it. Not only is the beautiful, attaching place, but I think for anyone interested in the digital economy, there is just such a big opportunity here. And at that point, my husband and I were already looking around and thinking about where else would we go after this. And Vietnam, I would say, was already on the radar. We ended up moving back to DC for my husband's job. There I had the opportunity to join Uber Technologies, where I served in both marketing and operational roles. Really interesting experience to join a big company after having been with a much more nimble company, and to go through the IPO experience. So really enjoyed that, but our eyes were already set on going back overseas. And so we had been preparing for that move to Vietnam for a bit. It was a very deliberate choice. It made sense for both of our careers. And I would say for me personally, I had an exposure to the Vietnam business when I was at Lazada and really saw the opportunity. Obviously, I'm sure you've seen the report from Temasek, Bain and Google on the size of the digital economy in Southeast Asia. But I think that Vietnam took a bit longer to maybe blossom in that area. And right now that growth is truly accelerating. So if I look at the sales of e-commerce, the sales growth year on year, sales for e-commerce grew 46% year on year. I'm not sure there are many other countries that can post those numbers, right? So it's really, really exciting. Similarly, the COVID situation we're in is obviously very, very unfortunate. But this is creating new behaviors. We see that over the past year in Vietnam, we have 40 million new users of digital services. Most of them intend to continue even post the COVID period. When Nielsen published a study also recently that shows the progress on online penetration for retail sales in, for instance, FMCG. And I think for the past 3 months, we're at 13.2%. And it used to be around 10.5% in 2020, and I think 8.5% in 2019. So that is just amazing to see that sort of growth. And I believe there is a long way to go. If we look at the Chinese model, where e-commerce is about 50% of retail now, there's clearly a long way to go, but I think we're well on our way.
What is the percentage of e-commerce for retail in Vietnam? 50% China. The US is, I don't even know what the US is, maybe 20?
So it's actually interesting. The US is not as high as people might think. The US is around 50. The US is around 15%. Wow. And for Vietnam, we're still single digits. So we are single digits with heavy fluctuations depending on categories. But it's actually the past year or so is the first time that some categories are starting to cross the 10% mark.
What are those categories that you see being the most active, and why do you think those categories are so popular?
So, I think in this environment, anything that has to do with essential needs is really going to be growing extremely fast, right? So, mom and baby is exploding. Personal care growing really fast. So, we work with Colgate, and it's been really incredible to see how the brand is progressing online over the past couple of months. And some of it is how they're investing in the campaigns they're planning, but just also just the organic traffic that's now coming in based on the difficulties of buying offline. Obviously, food is a fast-growing category at the moment with the restrictions that we have. I think that anything that has to do with the home or food preparation is also a big trend. So if you look at the home appliance and small kitchen appliances segment, that's growing extremely fast. So your rice cookers, your air fryers, those are flying off the shelf, literally. The categories that may be struggling a bit more, and once again, the industry at large is growing, but maybe that are not growing as fast, are going to be maybe fashion, pure beauty, just because people don't go out as much. So there's maybe less of a need for that in the short term. And I think that's aligned with the global trends that we've seen during COVID.
How do you see the behaviors changing once this period is over, at least in the short term? And do you think the e-commerce trends, like for me, I'll just preface it, I've actually never bought anything online in Vietnam. And most of it's not because of availability or choice. I think they're all fantastic. It's mostly because of things like logistics and payments. I find it to be a bit of a hassle. Admittedly, I haven't tried to buy anything in recent months or even a year, actually. I know my staff does, though, at Vietcetera. Tiki boxes are arriving every other day, Shopee, Lazada, whatever. Maybe I'm just older now. But I'd love to hear kind of your comment on that. Is the limitation more like choice, or is it because of logistics and payments? Like, how do we get Vietnam from single digits up to double digits? What do you see unlocking that next period?
Some of that will be the share of wallet. Historically, and that's been in every country as we start, there's sometimes a preference for touching and feeling the product, right? And really experiencing it. There is, I think payment can be a challenge indeed for some people, but at the same time, we see that the right solutions are being put in place. So in Southeast Asia, in Vietnam particularly, cash on delivery is very prominent, and so that's certainly a way to get around that. There are now new fintech solutions now for contactless payments as well. So we see the share of Momo or Zalo Pay growing as well, with some distinctions across platforms. And when it comes to even the logistics, I think that platforms, especially, you were mentioning Tiki. Tiki is doing a lot on fast delivery. So is Lazada as well. And obviously Shopee is following there too. So the platforms are very focused on the service experience and the delivery experience. There are now more tools for customers to track their deliveries, to have that proof of delivery, and to interact with customer service agents should they have any issues around that.
We're getting toward the end of our podcast today, and I always love to ask e-commerce experts what their favorite platform is and why. Maybe, it's hard for you to choose between the 3 or 4 that are out there. Sendo, don't forget about those folks too. But I'd love to hear, I won't make you choose, but I'd like for you to kind of highlight what are the strengths of each organization and why. I asked another friend of mine that joined me for the show about a year ago. I'd love to hear from you.
Oh, that's a very big question. Let me see how I may first, how I may best portray this to a brand. So maybe I will focus on Shopee, Lazada, and Tiki because they're the biggest for brands, and they're the biggest in that order. So in Vietnam, Shopee is certainly the biggest. I think Tiki has done an amazing job at staying in the race, which is not always easy with regional players that have very deep pockets. But it's not because a platform is the biggest at large that they might necessarily be the best for a given brand. But when it comes to traffic, Shopee is the biggest. They invest very heavily in traffic, and they do so with a number of mechanics and gamification, a lot of vouchers that they still subsidize for their customers. So big investment there. All the platforms are fully diversified when it comes to categories, but they do especially well in different spaces. So Shopee historically grew from fashion, health and beauty, mom and baby, all the repurchase categories with a lower basket size and a consumer base that was maybe more female to start with. When we look at Lazada and Tiki, initially this stemmed a little bit more from electronics and home appliances, but I've done a nice job at diversifying over the years, and especially Lazada has invested very heavily in fashion, health and beauty, mom and baby, and they were doing quite well with prestige brands as well. So a number of prestige health and beauty or fashion brands, either thinking about going to the marketplace platforms, would first do so on Lazada. Tiki has diversified quite a bit in the consumable space, and that's where Tiki now has also had a huge value add. Going back to the basket size, Tiki and Lazada will have a higher basket size. The consumer mix in terms of preferences is also still a little bit different in the sense that we see less cash on delivery. For instance, on Tiki, that often leads to fewer cancellations, which is great for brands. The campaign behavior is also a little bit different. So while on Shopee and Lazada, we still see a lot of deal hunting, those deals can take different forms depending on the tools of the platforms. Tiki has a very strong baseline business. So customers that are more focused on service and convenience more than just treasure hunting. On the Lazada side, we will see consumers who will stay up for mega campaigns between midnight and 2 a.m. And this is actually one of the platforms where we see the highest uplift at that time when the mega campaigns launch. So very, very important behavior there. When it comes to the regional mix, Tiki is still very focused on Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi. From where I sit, that seems to be over 70% of the business, while Shopee and Lazada are more diversified today. That's definitely something interesting to note. From a fulfillment perspective, Tiki has long worked on retail. And as a result, they have the infrastructure that brands may be able to use. Lazada has also built over the years a very compelling fulfillment service and last mile delivery service that their brands can use as a standalone. Shopee has followed suit there, but maybe less of an area of focus for them. And lastly, I think when it comes to the tech infrastructure for the platforms, there with Lazada, we definitely see the Alibaba heritage. This is probably the platform that can give brands the most data and can offer the most complex and rich mechanics in terms of layer scheme and so on, or ability to fulfill from different warehouses. So lots of very interesting possibility there. But personally, I work with all three. I shop on all three. And I think that all three platforms have a lot to offer depending on what one might be looking for.
Thank you for that recap. Very exciting insights to hear from an industry expert. Emma, I also want to ask about the whole urbanization versus rural, provincial kind of e-commerce customers. What are some insights that you can share there? Is the bigger market actually in the outside of the big cities now because it's kind of saturated and too competitive? What does that look like exactly?
So, I mean, I think today, frankly, most of the sales are still happening in the big cities, right, for across the country, and that's based not only on the concentration of population, but also probably disposable income, access to logistics, to payment, and so on. So I think there is still a bit more work to be done to grow out of the big cities, but we certainly see that progression happening. And so right now, a lot of brands are actually starting to look specifically into how can they better target customers, especially outside of Ho Chi Minh and even outside of Hanoi. How do they have more success in central Vietnam?
Exciting. Well, I think the big stat to kind of encapsulate the opportunity for Intrepid today is that the e-commerce market is still in the single digits, and a place like China is 50%, America 15%, which is surprising, but also not, I guess. But the opportunity is massive, and in this age of digital transformation, exciting things are to come. Emma, thank you for joining today's show. We're very grateful for having you to share these insights and these kind of exciting opportunities for Intrepid ahead. And don't forget, like Emma mentioned, they are hiring. So just a quick shout out there. If anyone is looking for a new adventure, Intrepid Vietnam and Intrepid Southeast Asia, I'm sure is also hiring. Emmanuelle Gounot, the CEO of Intrepid Vietnam, thank you for joining today's show. And also just the last bit, just want to give a quick thank you and big shout out to our sponsors today, ELSA English Language Speech Assistant. Check them out. They're on the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store. Fantastic app for those of you trying to learn English today. Emma, thanks for your time. Any final comments perhaps you'd like to share?
Thank you for having me. We're always excited to support brands independently of where they are on their digital journey. So whether that's on platform, off platform, marketing, store management, we're here. And same thing for all the talents out there. We're always hiring both for our tech team as well as for all our other teams. So yes, don't hesitate to reach out.
Fantastic. Thank you, Emma. Thank you for joining the show, an episode of Vietnam Innovators. For everyone tuning in, don't forget next week, every episode drops on Tuesday. We look forward to having you next time. Thanks so much. Check out the Vietnam Innovators series on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to listen to other innovative stories in Vietnam.
Hey guys, good news. Vietcetera has now officially rolled out a mobile app for Android. Now you can download our mobile app on both the Apple iOS Store and the Google Play Store right now. More functions are coming very soon, so stay on the lookout.